All right, what I have here is the Dell XPS 16. Been using it quite extensively for the past 30 days or so. And I already did my review of the XPS 14. I had two different flavors, the non-touch LCD, and of course that one with the tandem OLED 2.8K resolution. I have its bigger sibling, obviously. We did our first look video, pretty extensive as well, so I may not cover everything I covered in that video, so make sure you check out the link to that video in the description below. But I value your time. Obviously, let's get cut right to the chase. What do I think about it? I love this device. I love this laptop. I like the improvements they've made over the Dell 16 Premium and its previous XPS iteration. This is much better. So there are things they can improve on, such as going higher in terms of the peak brightness, because it is a tandem OLED display. It's 3.2K resolution, but it doesn't get quite as bright in terms of that peak brightness as its counterparts. Even the standard dynamic range, I think, can go up a little bit higher. But having said that, the anti-reflective coating on it is great. The deep blacks are there, the high contrast, the really great colors that just pop off the display are there. I didn't notice a screen door effect or anything like that. So the display is excellent, and I highly recommend it for doing content creation. Obviously, Lightroom, Photoshop, video editing, stuff like that really worked out well. Now, the keyboard. The keyboard, obviously, we've looked at it before. This is the Zero Lattice keyboard. It's got a little bit of criticism by other reviewers. I actually like this. It is not my 100% favorite out there right now. Obviously, that would be the ThinkPad keyboards. I think they're the best in the business as far as I'm concerned. I don't love the MacBook keyboards. I've told you that in the past, so I've made my thoughts on that known, but this keyboard's actually good. It's got a multi-stage backlight. It's got really good arrow keys, although the up and down are a little small. The others are really good, normal sized. It has the Copilot key, but that's an indictment of Windows as far as a useless key is, as far as I'm concerned. But I think they did a good job. Really great haptic touchpad that now has delineation. They fine-tuned it. They really dialed it in. The haptic engine and the feedback is mwah. Chef's kiss. Has been great. The speakers are amazing on this. Quad speakers, 10 watts of power coming out of them, and they sound really good. One of the best Windows laptops when it comes to audio. It even rivals that of the MacBook Pro 16 that we are going to look at and give a comparison to later in this video. So the sound is really good. It's got the best camera out there as far as I'm concerned. 8 megapixels, 4K capable. IR. There's no physical shutter switch or anything like that. That's a little bit of a negative, but the camera's so good I can forgive some things there. Port selection could be better here. I've made my thoughts known on that. You don't get HDMI, you don't get an SD card reader, you don't get USB-A. You do get the 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports. They're not even Thunderbolt 5. I've made my thoughts known on that in the initial video. And we're going to talk about battery life, which has been excellent on this. The performance out of the Core Ultra 7 350, the Core Ultra X7 358H, and of course, the enhanced graphics in that Intel Arc B390. So that replaces most likely a dedicated GPU, although I can see them outfitting this with a discrete GPU sometime, maybe later this year, who knows. I think the potential's there, but as an integrated solution, it is amazing. You can play really good AAA titles. If you play with the settings, use frame generation, guess what? You can play those AAA titles and they're very playable frame rate. So that has been amazing. So it's got everything that you'd want in a laptop, minus the few things that I've already told you. But overall, to me, this is an excellent laptop. Now, it doesn't come in cheap. This comes in at $2,350 as configured here today. They have cheaper variants with different components and so forth as far as the processor, the GPU and all that stuff, the integrated GPU. So you have some options there, but I think if you have the money, go with this one because it has the better graphics, and I think that's the way to go. Let me know your thoughts, but we're gonna get into it right now, why I think the Dell XPS 16 is back and one to really consider here for 2026. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is the Dell XPS 16, the review here for 2026. Coming up. All right, let's start off with the build and design. We've already covered this in the initial video, but just to recap, you have the XPS logo, that's new, welcome. The Dell logo is on the bottom there, and you have an all-metal CNC machined anodized aluminum here. So you're looking at very little give or flex. It is premium, it is high-end, and of course, you can open it with one finger. I don't have any issue opening it up. I know there has been something made, it's hard to open up, there's no lip. I was just able to do that pretty easily, pretty seamlessly. All right, so that is that. Now, weight-wise, you're looking at 1.718 kilograms. It's about, I would say, 1 pound lighter than its predecessor is what they're claiming. And the XPS 14, its smaller sibling, is about a half a pound lighter. So these are the lightest XPSs out there from previous generations and so forth. Definitely not as light as some of the others we've seen, but definitely light to take with you on the go, especially for a 16-inch laptop with these premium materials. Now it has, like I said, the machined aluminum, CNC machined aluminum. It has the Gorilla Glass 3 on the keyboard deck, which you can see here. And it has, if you go with the tandem OLED, that has Gorilla Glass Victus. So the build and the design here is extremely good. So I'm very happy with it. Now, color-wise, you're limited to 2 colors this year. You have the graphite, which is a carryover from previous iterations, and of course, it's tried and true, and it's elegant, understated, and it looks good. Now, although you will notice some fingerprints on it, not so bad. I think they put a decent oleophobic coating. And coming later this year, Glimmer, which is a champagne gold hybrid, that kind of combination, and it looked really good. Can't wait to get my hands on one. No longer can you get the platinum, which is kind of a shame because I really love that platinum, but I'm happy with this graphite overall, and it's, again, tried and true. All right, let's talk about the star of the show. That would be this 3.2K tandem OLED display, 16 inches, and it is a touchscreen display, as you see there. You have the touchability, pinch to zoom, so you can really dial in, stuff like that. And of course, it is a beautiful display. Now, they put a pretty good anti-reflective coating on it, so you don't get a lot of glare and reflection. I do have a lot of studio lights, and the screen goes back as far as you see there. Doesn't go further than that, but it gives you a pretty good viewing angle, and they did a great job minimizing the screen wobble. The hinges are on pretty well here, so when you're typing out documents, you don't get a lot of movement there, and that has been very good. Now, the coverage of the color gamut is excellent. It is color accurate. It's got very high contrast, very deep blacks, what you'd expect with a tandem OLED. Now, of course, with any tandem OLED, there are some things you need to be aware of. PWM, which, by the way, in this laptop, not much of an issue. So they did a really good job in that regard. And then, of course, screen burn-in. If you leave a static image long enough, you might have a burn-in effect. I haven't experienced it on that, but of course, something you need to be aware of. And then, of course, the screen brightness here. So let's talk about that, because one of the things about a tandem OLED is the fact that you can go pretty high. In fact, we've seen it as high as 1600 nits on some of the others that sport a tandem OLED display. When you're looking at HDR, peak brightness, 1600 nits. This one, you're looking at around 500 nits or so. And standard dynamic range, you're looking at 400 nits. I think 411 is what I measured here. And that is on the low side, because we looked at, say, something like the Asus ExpertBook Ultra, that 14-inch we looked at, tandem OLED, matte finish, and that one had 38 nits, which is what I got on that one. Standard dynamic range can peak as high, I think, as 14 or 1500 nits on that one. So you see what Dell did here. Now, I kind of understand the logic behind it. Maybe want to get as most in terms of battery life out of the smaller 70 watt hour battery. Remember, for a 16-inch, 70 watt hours is on the smaller side. So maybe that is the thinking there. Going to a higher brightness means you're going to use more power, more CPU performance and stuff you'll need out of that. Maybe that's the thinking there. I don't know. I'd like to see them give it the full potential of what a tandem OLED could bring. The other brands, the other OEMs are doing it. They can do it as well. That being said, you can read this indoors. You can read this outdoors. It is not an issue. And again, they put a very good anti-reflective coating on it. So really not an issue. Just wanted to see it get to the potential that it has out of a higher peak brightness. Not a deal breaker. So let me be clear about that. But it is definitely something that I'd like to see improved on the next one when they come out with the next gen on this. But overall, this is a pretty amazing display. Now, you could also get it with the non-touch LCD. We saw a version of that on that Dell XPS 14, its sibling, and that got amazing battery life. In fact, it got like some crazy 25 plus hours, and it kept going and going and going. I would expect very similar results from the non-touch LCD panel that they're offering this in as well. Now, the other thing to be aware of, that non-touch LCD has a pretty unique feature where it can go as low as 1 hertz and then can go up to 120 hertz in terms of a VRR, variable refresh rate. So going down to that 1 hertz gives you even more efficiency. This one is 20 hertz to 120 hertz, which is even good in its own right. But of course, you can go even lower on the non-touch LCD. Again, they did a great job on this panel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. All right, let's talk performance here as we want to get into the nitty-gritty here. And like I said, it is running the Intel Core Ultra X7 358H that has 16 cores, and it has the enhanced graphics, the Intel Arc B390. And it has a TDP of 35 watts sustained and can peak as high as, I would say, 65 watts, right? So you get enough performance out of the CPU, multi-thread, single thread. When you look at the new Cinebench 2026, you can see the numbers there. Obviously, when we look at some of the other synthetic benchmarks, this certainly holds its own. But where you're going to see a major improvement is going to be the graphics, right? The Intel Arc B390 is a big upgrade over the previous integrated solution of prior generations. I would say this is the equivalent of a 50-50 or 40-50, 40-60 even, depending on what you're doing. So if you want to play AAA titles, you can play them without any issue, and you can just use the frame generation that it supports, and you will get playable frame rates on these AAA titles. So that has been very good. Video editing has been very good on this. I ran the Puget Bench DaVinci Resolve benchmark, certainly held its own. For an integrated graphics solution, I was very, very impressed. Now, when it comes to the thermals on this, I didn't notice a lot of thermal throttling. It did get a little bit, but it wasn't something to be too concerned about. When I ran the stress test, obviously it didn't get a passing score, but it came close enough for me to say it's not much of an issue. The surface temperatures never get overly hot. You can see internally it can get pretty hot, but I think they did an overall good job keeping the keyboard where you place your fingers cool and relatively cool, and on the bottom as well. So I think they did a good job in terms of the cooling solution. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Now, when it comes to fan noise, you definitely will notice that fan noise when you ramp things up, when you're playing your games, when you're video editing, you'll notice it, but it never got overly loud. I think they did a really good job taming down that fan noise, making it less of a distraction on this unit when you want to get work done. So I think they did a really good job there. All right, let's talk battery here. And this has a 70 watt hour battery. And that's the same size as the XPS 14 that we just looked at. So you might be asking yourself, well, isn't the 70 watt hour battery on the small side for a 16-inch laptop? And the answer is yeah. But because Panther Lake is so efficient and gives you such good battery life, it doesn't matter. So let's look at the numbers here. So the Procyon Office Productivity Test, which is a good estimation of what you do in real world usage. I put it on 40% screen brightness, 120 hertz enabled. In the balance mode, you're looking at 12 hours, 41 minutes. Now, to put that into context, Arrow Lake H gets about 6.5 hours. Never got better than that for the most part, right? So this more than doubles the battery life with a smaller battery than most 16-inch laptops. That shows you the efficiency of Panther Lake in action right there. Now, when it comes to video playback, I ran the PC Mark 10 video playback test, and this did 15 hours and 36 minutes, which is another good result considering we have a 3.2K resolution tandem OLED display. So that's going to use a little bit more juice. The fact I'm getting more than 15.5 hours, pretty amazing. Keep in mind, everybody's use case is a little bit different, so your mileage may vary, but the battery life on here has been excellent, no doubt about it. Now, it also supports fast charging with the included 100-watt power supply. It's pretty compact, and it has a good travel-friendly nature to it in terms of the size. That has been good. You get the power cord there, so it's easy to travel with, and it supports fast charging as well. So that has been very good. I mentioned this in the initial video. I'm not the biggest fan of the ports on this or the XPS 14. What are we missing here? We're missing an HDMI, we're missing USB-A, we're missing an SD card reader, or even a micro SD card reader if they want to put a full one in. And we don't get that, right? What we do get are 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports on the left, 1 on the right, and a headphone jack, right? So that's it. And the thing as a content creator, for me, what I'm missing the most is that full-size SD card reader. You get one on the MacBook Pro. You get one on the P1 Gen 8 in the ThinkPad that I looked at, my favorite of 2025. You don't get it here. And yes, I know they added back the physical function row. I know they added etchings and delineation on the touchpad. So they did all these things, making it better, but they didn't add the ports in. And one of the things I noticed is when I'm trying to charge with this, right? So that means in order to charge on this, we're going to lose a USB-C port, right? So that is the downside of not having a proprietary charging port like the MagSafe on the MacBook Pro. But of course, you do get a lot of versatility out of these Thunderbolt 4 ports. They support Thunderbolt docks, external GPUs, all sorts of things you could connect to, dongles, all sorts of things. So you can remedy that pretty easily, but as a convenience factor and in the fact that you're paying $2,400 or $2,350 on this one is a lot of money. I would like more ports on it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. All right, let's talk audio here. And this has quad speakers. So you get 10 watts of total output. Really good here. And I put it up against the MacBook Pro, that 16-inch, which I think is the best in the business. This gave it a run for its money, in my opinion. But of course, a lot of you said the MacBook sounded a little bit better, and I tend to agree. But I gotta say that they've made a lot of progress, especially for a Windows laptop. The sound on this is amazing. You will not be disappointed. It pretty much will cover any of your audio needs as far as I'm concerned. If you just choose not to use headphones or anything, you just want to use the built-in speakers, I think they do a good job. Now let's give it a listen and let me know what you think in the comment section below. MacBook Pro.
Hello, honey, how you been? Oh, it's been such a long time.
XPS 16.
I can feel my heart jumping. Are you still mine? I can feel my heart jumping. Are you still mine? No one ever buried, no. But I come closer down to. I guess it wasn't meant to be.
All right, let me know what you think about that sound in the comment section below. Okay, let's talk about the internals here. And one of the things you notice here are these two large fans to help with the cooling. You'll notice that 70 watt hour battery. And you'll notice the SSD. There is one SSD, and as you can see from the reads and writes, certainly fast enough what you need this laptop to do. This also has Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth combo cord that is soldered in, so not upgradable by the user, but having Wi-Fi 7 means it is more future-proof, so good to see that. Now, the memory, of course, is not user upgradable like most laptops here in 2026, and of course, it's very fast RAM, and it is running dual channel, so that has been very good. And I say overall it's pretty good. Now to get inside this, you do have to lift it up from the top, from the keyboard side, remove the ribbon cable, and be careful with that. And that's the way you'll access it. A little bit different, a little bit not as convenient as the bottom firing or the bottom facing plate that you normally would get. So it's a little bit different. And overall, that is how you get inside this unit. And I would say overall, pretty much what you'd expect. Now, the other thing you'll notice here is some really good speakers, very large speakers. And again, they are quad speakers and they have great sound, as we mentioned. Okay, let's talk about Linux here. And I was able to boot into Fedora Linux off of my flash drive here, but there are some issues. Now, it is scaling properly, something I wasn't able to do previously. It is now scaling properly, and the touch layer is working, pinch to zoom, everything is working as you'd expect. Now, the sound is not working because it's not recognizing the speakers here, and see, it says dummy output there, so no sound. That is not working. The camera's not working. The touchpad not working properly, and I suppose it's because of the haptic engine, and the drivers on that are not optimized for this, at least not yet. And then, of course, the keyboard, that's all working. And the network, as far as the Wi-Fi, was not working out of the box, as neither is the Bluetooth. But I was able to connect to my dock, which is off camera here. And on my Thunderbolt dock, I added a USB dongle for Wi-Fi, and then it worked perfectly. So when I connected it to my dock, so not out of the box. So there are some things Linux needs to to be updated to, or I would say more of the drivers and Panther Lake, since it is early days, need to be updated for this to work properly. And if Ken, I don't know if I would do an actual install, if that would make a difference, but there is obviously this is going to get better. I would say even within a couple of months, probably we'll have Linux running up and running without any issues. But of course, right out of the box, there are some issues with these haptic touchpad, which is the main one here. And of course, the networking and all that. Sound is also not working, camera not working. So just keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to the webcam, 8 megapixel camera here, capable 4K video, and my favorite out there, the IPU, or the image processing unit used, I think it's from Intel. It looks really, really good. Now, let's give it a look and a listen, and you let me know what you think in the comment section below. Now, this is the example of the camera. It's 8 megapixels, capable of 4K video, IR. That means you can log in with face recognition. It's a pretty amazing camera. I gotta say, they did a great job in the image processing unit, or the IPU. And this is the iPhone 17 Pro Max. You can see the difference between the Dell XPS 16 and this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, let's talk pricing here. And as you know, this comes in at $23.50. I've mentioned that before over on Dell's website. There are cheaper SKUs, but let's compare it to the MacBook Pro. The base model comes in, I think, $24.99. The M4 Pro, 512 gigabytes of storage. This actually gives you a terabyte of storage, 32 gigabytes of memory, very fast memory, and of course the Core Ultra X7 358H, along with those graphics, the Intel Arc B390. So that is compared to the MacBook Pro with the M4 Pro. Now, when you compare it to something like the Lenovo ThinkPad P1 Gen 8 mobile workstation as configured with the review unit that I got, that one has Core Ultra 7 258H, that's Arrow Lake H, with a terabyte of storage and the 32 gigabytes of CAM2 memory. That one is on sale right now with 32% off for $28.85.92. So that is actually more expensive, but of course, mobile workstations tend to be higher priced as they're geared towards businesses and professional outlets and stuff like that. So just keep that in mind. But I like to compare these because I think that P1 Gen 8, which is of course my favorite laptop of 2025, is a little bit more expensive than the one you get with the Dell XPS 16. Obviously, more expensive than the base model of the M4 Pro MacBook Pro. So just to put the price of $23.50 in context, of course, we know there's a scarcity of RAM driving up prices, and of course, that also plays a big role in when Dell has to determine, well, what are we going to charge for this? And as configured with the review unit I have here, $23.50, I would say that is on the high side. But of course, most laptops, especially with Panther Lake, are coming in very high here in early 2026. Let me know your thoughts on pricing in the comment section below. All right, let's talk about the keyboard real quick. I already covered it in the initial video, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot more on this. I just want to bring up the Zero Lattice keyboard. I actually find it very good. Is it as good as the ThinkPad keyboard on that P1 Gen 8? No, that is a better keyboard in my opinion, but this is certainly good enough, comfortable enough, and very good for what it is. Zero Lattice keyboard. The key travel is decent, but of course, it is a different style keyboard, so just keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to the haptic touchpad, we're looking at an improved haptic touchpad in terms of the haptic engine. They fine-tuned it, and I think they did a great job. They put these etchings here so you can now know where it begins and ends without any issue in that regard. And then, of course, scrolling, doing all the gestures, everything works as you'd expect. This is a really good haptic touchpad. Now, this part of the deck is Gorilla Glass 3, so you're going to get that durability. And of course, this is Gorilla Glass Victus as far as the display. So that has been very good. Keyboard, again, I went over it in that other video. Let me know your thoughts on it. Of course, they brought back the physical function row. No longer do you get that capacitive row that caused a lot of consternation among a lot of people. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, let's bring it all home. What do I think about the brand new Dell XPS 16 redesign here for 2026? We're going to start off with the display. Stunning 16-inch tandem OLED, variable refresh rate from 20 to 120 hertz. The non-touch LCD, 1 hertz to 120 hertz. I'd like to see the standard dynamic range a little bit higher in terms of the brightness, although not a deal breaker. I'd like to see it go peak brightness about 1600 nits like some of the competition. Again, not a deal breaker. Overall, an excellent display. And I like the fact it's not overly glossy. It's got a nice anti-reflective coating on it. Amazing battery life on this. Again, Panther Lake is really impressive in that regard. It's a very efficient processor and giving us really good battery life. They give you a pretty compact 100-watt power supply in the box that allows for fast charging. You got impressive Intel Arc B390 graphics, which for an integrated solution is pretty amazing considering you're playing AAA titles and getting some very playable frame rates. Sure that you're going to use frame generation, all these smoke and mirror tricks and all these all kinds of ways they can get you to get good playable frame rates. Bottom line is it's playable and they did a good job. This is thinner and lighter than its predecessor, and Panther Lake has good single multi-thread performance. This improved haptic touchpad is really good. We now have delineation. We know where it begins and ends. There's Gorilla Glass 3 on the keyboard deck for more durability and a really smooth feel to it. And you have Wi-Fi 7 here, by the way, so that has been very good. 8-megapixel IR webcam, I think, is one of the best in the business. They did a fantastic job. The IPU, or the image processing unit, is amazing. Those are the things I absolutely love on this. Here's what I'm not so crazy about. No Thunderbolt 5, and again, that's up to the OEMs to put in a separate independent controller if they want to add Thunderbolt 5 to Panther Lake. They chose not to on this. You get 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports and a headphone jack. That's it. No HDMI, no USB-A, no SD card reader. That's not great. I'd like to see more ports next time around. Fingerprint scanner is gone. So you used to get the power button doubling as a fingerprint scanner. That is not the case here, but you'll have to rely on that 8-megapixel IR webcam. That allows you to log in with Windows Hello. Now, tandem OLED could be brighter here, as I mentioned. All the ports that are missing, I mentioned that. It is expensive, but when you put it into context, when you compare it to the base model 16-inch M4 Pro MacBook Pro, this actually comes in cheaper and you get more RAM, you get more storage than the base model. Although you may be able to find that base model on sale somewhere as they're ramping up for new models here in 2026. We should hear something early March when they have that event. And then there is no camera shutter, something missing, I think, on an otherwise amazing camera. But let me know your thoughts. What do you think about the Dell XPS 16? To me, it's a big winner. They made all the changes that they needed to do to make this a viable option. One of the best laptops so far. Of course, we're early days with Panther Lake. We'll be seeing more Panther Lake, but this is a very premium, very high-end with an amazing display and overall build. All the things you want, and especially when you want battery life, this will come through. This is really good. And having the integrated graphics that this provides is a big game changer, literally and figuratively. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below. And if you're a casual viewer of my content, why not consider subscribing? It doesn't cost you anything. Help support the channel as we're making our big push for 500,000 subscribers by the end of the year. You're gonna buy the Dell XPS 16, the XPS 14, or any of the other devices we feature here on the channel. They are, of course, links for those in the description below. And yes, they are affiliate links. And no, I do not get a huge commission. A small commission helps support the channel, helps keep the lights on here in the studio. So until next time, this is Andrew, and I'll see you in the next video.